everyone, so as promised I'm going to be doing a review on this Overbust Sweetheart Steampunk style corset from CorsetDeal. So here is the front, the side, the back, and the other side. In terms of the length and the fit of this, the center front here has a height of 14 inches and the highest part of the corset is only 14.5 inches. Now I realized that on the CorsetDeal website it actually gives the dimensions of the corset, and it says that the apex of the bust down to the bottom, so the longest part of the corset here, is 16 inches. Nope, at least not on this particular corset. So either they had changed the style or there is some great variation in how much of a sweetheart there is in the top line, because on me this fits very much like a dummy bust corset instead of a sweetheart overbust corset. It's not a long line corset, as you can see here. It sits right on top of my upper hips here, and I actually feel that my torso is too long for this corset. As you can see, it's like I don't feel very covered right up here, and I even had to kind of hike up the corset so that the waist of the corset is higher than my natural waist, so I don't find it to be particularly comfortable. However, you don't have to lace it really that tightly. Right now I'm laced in at perhaps 3 inches, so it's not too bad. Very gentle curves in here. I would not recommend tight lacing in this style of corset just because of the very gentle curves. You might run into trouble with space in the bust area or space in the hips. However, in terms of this corset, I actually feel that I do have enough room in the hips, and it tends to bow outwards a little bit here, so I have 1 to 2 inches space actually in the front here. But if you have a larger hip spring than I do, then the wider your hips are, it will actually flatten out that bowing out part in the front there. So here is the corset laying flat. For the material of this, if I open it up, I feel 2 layers in here. The outside is this heavy brown brocade made of 100% polyester, and then on the inside here is this black twill, which is 100% cotton. Also, the binding here at the top and bottom, and also these decorative external channels, are made out of a brown faux leather. For the construction of this corset, you can see that the panels are actually top stitched between the seams here, and then on the inside you can see that there are internal boning channels holding the bones here. So these external channels made out of the faux leather, these are just decorative. These don't actually have any bones in them. And I just want to show you the chains and the buttons here. So there are 5 on each side, as you can see, so a total of 10. And if I give you a close-up here, I don't know if you can see that clearly, but they're finished in antique brass, and the buttons and chains, they're actually attached to the corset with grommets that are set into the material, so it's not going to fall off like other sewn-on buttons do. I don't know if you can actually see the writing here on the close-up, but it actually says Bolonegaro Trevor, which I find kind of funny because a quick Google search shows that Bolonegaro Trevor is a clothing store in London, England, but these buttons definitely say Bolonegaro with an I. You can also see that there's a waist tape running through the corset, as you can see here. It's visible on the inside of the corset, held down by the boning channels here. It's made out of 1 inch wide single-faced satin ribbon. Like I had said before, the binding at the top and bottom are made out of this faux leather. It's folded under on the front, but then on the inside you can actually see that it's not folded under. They just stitched it down and they left the ends raw here. Now this is fairly typical of leather or PVC type binding, as it reduces the bulk on the top and bottom edges. It's not going to fray because it's made out of plastic, but for those of you who are super picky, you can always just trim this raw edge down to a couple of millimeters away from the stitch line. Here you can see the unboned Modesty panel. It's about 7 inches wide, and it's made from 2 layers of material, the brown brocade on the outside and the black twill on the underside here. And even though it's attached to one side, it can be easily removed if you just take out this line of stitching here. And also there is a 2 inch wide unboned placket underneath the front fastener made out of the same fabrics. Now, probably the coolest feature of this corset is the fact that there is no busk. Instead, what they have put here is a 3/8 inch wide flat spring steel bone here on either side of the opening, and to that they fastened these little swing hooks right here. So let me just give you an example of how it works. You just put the loop here and then lock it down, and you do that for the 3 other ones here. And it just works like that, and it holds very nicely. It's very sturdy. I don't think these little latches are going to break off or anything. These swing hooks are finished in antique brass, and so they match the rest of the hardware of the corset. I think they're really fun. However, I do believe that they probably could have added one more set of hooks on the front and spaced them closer together. So given 5 hooks instead of just 4, because when I wear this corset, I noticed that in the center front here, right at the waistline, the bones want to kind of bow out a little bit more. So I feel that if they kind of spaced them a little bit closer together and added a swing hook right here in the middle at the waistline, then it would have prevented a lot of that kind of bowing out action. As you can see, like, it's not that apparent. It's probably the difference of a few millimeters, but for this reason I would probably recommend that you only buy this corset maybe 2 to 4 inches smaller than your natural waistline, even if you can cinch down more than that in other corsets, just because of the very gentle curves of this corset and because it kind of wants to separate at the waistline here. I don't think that you should do extreme tight lacing in this corset. And taking another look at the inside of the corset here, there are 14 steel bones in this corset total, not including the ones at the center front here. So they're single boned on the seams, like I said before, in internal boning channels. The 2 bones that curve over the bust line, so the one right here, as you can see, is right on the kind of on the front there, and the one on the other side, those are spiral steel boning. I can feel that they're spiral boning because they're slightly more flexible than the other bones, and also if I look closely I can see the little U-tips on the end there. All the other bones in this corset are flat steel boning. Here's a close-up of the grommets. There are 24 2-part size 0 grommets in this corset, so 12 on each side, finished in antique brass, so it matches the rest of the corset really nicely. The grommets are fairly sturdy. They have a moderate size lip around them, and there's absolutely no fraying around the material. They're not pulling out like a couple of them were in the taffeta corset that I had reviewed previously. Granted, I haven't had this corset quite as long, so I don't know how well they'll keep up over the next year or so, but I also feel that this brocade is much more sturdy and much more durable than the taffeta. And here once again you can see the underside of the grommets. You can see that there are no obvious splits, they're not catching on the laces or anything. You don't really see any pulling away of the material or anything like that, so it's all pretty good. And here are the laces. I don't know if you can see very well in this lighting, but the laces are brown, flat nylon braided shoelace style laces, and they're very strong. They grip fairly well. I really love how all the colors in this corset all match. They all blend together really well. It's not like they skimped on the laces and just gave generic black ones, so I think it's really nice that they, went to the extra effort to even match the laces to the rest of the corset. The price for this corset is pretty much even across the board, about $165 in the US or £105 in the UK. You can buy this particular corset at CorsetDeal.com, corsets-uk, corset-story, and also corsets-au. And now for the bust test. Like the previous sweetheart style corset that I had reviewed from Corsets-uk, I have to give this about a 3 out of 4 on the bust test. I felt fairly secure when I was shrugging my shoulders, jumping, or bending forward. The bending forward part I didn't feel extremely comfortable about because, it is a sort of a dummy bust and I feel that it shows more than I would like to. I did not feel very comfortable at all when I was trying to raise my arms. I felt like I could have boobled out of there if I wasn't careful. So I have to give this a 3 out of 4. I probably would not be raising my arms in this too much, so just try to keep your arms down if you're going to be wearing this style corset if you have a medium to long torso like I do. So this concludes the review for this sweetheart style steampunk corset from CorsetDeal. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did like this video, then please click that button right over there, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!